Betrayal, Feud.
The morning light was thin and gray when I realized the day was coming closer. Not louder, not faster, just heavier. I was sitting alone in my apartment, still in my dress blues from the night before, the fabric stiff against my skin like it didn't belong to me anymore. The medal lay on the kitchen table where I'd dropped it. It looked harmless there, quiet, cold, not like honor, more like evidence. My hands still smelled faintly of gun oil and industrial soap, even though I'd washed them twice. That smell never really leaves. Neither does the ache in my right knee from the fall outside Fallujah, the one the doctors called minor and my body never forgot. I was staring at the floor, counting the cracks in the tile when my phone vibrated beside the metal. Not rang, not buzzed loudly, just vibrated, like it was afraid to interrupt me. I didn't look at it right away. I already knew something had shifted. That quiet, instinctive pressure behind the ribs that soldiers learn to trust. The kind that says, this is the moment before things change. My name is Daniel Carter. I was 29 years old then. Staff Sergeant, U.S. Army, infantry. 12 years in. Most of them spent learning how to stay calm while everything around you falls apart. The phone vibrated again. When I finally picked it up, I didn't recognize the area code. No unit number, no command prefix, just a civilian line. The message preview showed a single sentence. Daniel, is this really what happened? Below it was a link. My thumb hovered over the screen. I should have ignored it. That's what training teaches you. Don't open things you're not prepared to secure. But this wasn't a battlefield threat. It felt worse. Personal, familiar in a way I couldn't place yet. I tapped the link. It opened to a social media post, a long one, thousands of views already. The profile picture at the top froze my breath in my chest. My mother, Susan Carter. She'd posted a video. Her face was red and swollen, eyes glassy, voice trembling just enough to sound believable. The caption read, I never wanted to speak about this, but the truth matters. My own son, changed by the military, caused something in our family that can't be undone. I watched it happen. I cried in the moment, and now I'm done protecting him. My ears started ringing before the video even finished buffering. The comments were already piling up. So brave. Military trauma is real. No mother would lie about this. I felt something detach inside me. Not snap, not break, just quietly unhook like a rope being cut somewhere far away. Then my phone rang. This time, I answered. Daniel? The woman said. Her voice was tight, controlled, professional. This is Karen Whitmore. I'm a reporter with the regional network. Your mother mentioned you by name. We're running the story at noon. I just wanted to give you a chance to respond. I stared at the medal on the table again. The one the Army had fast-tracked. The one my commanding officer said was a, quote, long overdue. The one my mother had cried over when I came home on leave, back when she was crying for me, not because of me. I don't think you understand, I said quietly. She watched it happen, yes. She cried, but she also knows I didn't cause it. There was a pause on the line, a beat too long. Sir, Karen said, carefully, your mother says otherwise. That's when I understood. The collision wasn't coming. It had already happened, and she'd decided the story without me.
People hear infantry and imagine noise, gunfire, shouting, explosions, but most of it is silence. Long, administrative, soul-grinding quiet. Paperwork, waiting, cleaning weapons that haven't been fired in weeks, memorizing procedures you hope you'll never need. I was in 11B, light infantry, and by the time I made staff sergeant, my job wasn't to be brave. It was to be boring, consistent, and unbreakable. I was the one who made sure the new guys drank water even when they said they weren't thirsty, the one who checked tourniquets twice, the one who stood between a bad call and a worse outcome. Competence doesn't look heroic, it looks invisible. That invisibility followed me home. My mother used to say she was proud of me, but only in the abstract, in the way people say they're proud of the troops, not of the person standing in front of them. When I came home on leave, she'd introduce me to neighbors like I was a concept. "This is my son, Daniel. He's in the army." Never, "This is my son who kept his squad alive during a vehicle rollover." Never, "This is my son who didn't sleep for 3 days because he was writing condolence letters." Just, "He's in the army." Growing up, our house was neat in a way that felt controlled, not peaceful. Drawers closed softly, conversations stayed surface level. Anything emotional was treated like clutter, something to be put away quickly. My mother, Susan, believed deeply in appearances. She believed in being seen as a good parent more than in the messy work of actually being one. When I enlisted at 17, she cried, not because she was scared for me, but because people would talk. "You're so young," she'd said, gripping the kitchen counter. "What will people think if something happens?" I remember telling her, "I'll be careful." She nodded, already looking past me. The military gave me something she never did: clear expectations. If you do X, Y follows. If you fail, the consequences are direct. No emotional guessing games, no rewriting history after the fact. The mission that led to the medal wasn't dramatic, no firefight worth a movie deal. It was logistics, leadership, and a long night that went very wrong in very quiet ways. A convoy reroute, a civilian vehicle where it shouldn't have been, a call that had to be made fast with incomplete information. I made it. I owned it. I filed the report. Later, my commanding officer, Captain Andrew Morales, called me into his office. He didn't smile. "You handled that better than most senior NCOs I know. You kept people alive. That matters." The paperwork moved upward, slowly at first, then faster. I didn't ask questions. You don't chase recognition in uniform. It has a way of turning on you. But when the award was approved, Captain Morales told me I should let my family know. They should hear it from you, not from the news. So I called my mother. She answered on the third ring. "Daniel, is everything okay?" "It's fine. Yeah, everything's fine. I just wanted to tell you something." There was the sound of her sitting down, plates clinking, life continuing. "They're giving me a commendation," I said carefully, "for an operation last year." A pause. "Oh," she said, "that's nice." Not "congratulations," not "I'm proud of you," just "nice," like I told her I got a discount on groceries. "It's kind of a big deal," I added, hating myself for it. "There's going to be a ceremony." "Well," she said, "you know I don't really understand all that military stuff. Is it dangerous?" "No, it's already over." Another pause, longer this time. "Daniel," she said, "I hope you're not expecting me to brag about this online. People are very sensitive about the military these days." That was the moment, the quiet one, the one you don't realize is permanent until much later. "I'm not asking you to brag," I said. "I just thought you'd want to know." She exhaled, relieved. "Of course, I'm glad you told me." We hung up. I didn't call back. I didn't send photos of the medal when it arrived in the mail. I didn't explain the citation. I folded my uniform myself the night before the ceremony, pressing each crease with the same care I used on inspections. Not for her, for me. The ceremony was small. Fluorescent lights, folding chairs, a flag that had been refolded so many times the creases were permanent. Captain Morales read from the citation in a flat, official voice. No emotion, just facts. When he shook my hand, he looked me in the eye. "Earned," he said. Someone took a photo. Someone else recorded a short clip. It went on the unit page. Then it moved. Shared once, then again. Out of my control. Back home, my mother saw it not as context, but as threat. By the time I understood that, she had already decided who I would be in her version of events. Not the quiet professional, not the man who carried responsibility without applause, but the convenient villain, simple enough to explain, dramatic enough to believe. And once a story like that exists, the truth doesn't disappear. It just has to wait. The first text from my mother after the post wasn't angry. That's what surprised me. It wasn't accusatory or explosive or even emotional. It was administrative. "We need to talk later. Please don't make this worse." Worse than what? Her story was already out, already alive, already being shaped by strangers who had never smelled gun oil or sat through a casualty brief. I didn't respond. An hour later, my Aunt Linda called, then my cousin Mark, then a number I didn't have saved. I let them all go to voicemail. Every message followed the same pattern: concern layered over judgment, sympathy aimed in the wrong direction. "Your mom's really hurting, Daniel. She's just trying to process. You know how sensitive she is." No one asked what was true, they asked what would keep things comfortable. When I finally did listen to the voicemails, my mother's was last. Her voice was softer than the video, careful, controlled. "I didn't say everything," she said. "I protected you where I could, but people deserve to understand what I went through too." What I went through. Not what happened, not what you went through. I sat on the edge of my bed, still in uniform pants, boots off, socks half peeled like I'd forgotten how to finish taking care of myself. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator. I stared at the wall where I'd taped my deployment checklist years ago, laminated, outdated, still there out of habit. I typed a response, deleted it, typed another, deleted that too. Explaining had never worked before. It wasn't going to work now. 2 days later, I drove to her house. The driveway looked the same, the hedges trimmed, the porch swept, the kind of place that always looks ready for company. She opened the door before I knocked, like she'd been waiting behind it. She didn't hug me. She stepped aside and said, "Come in." We sat at the kitchen table where I'd filled out enlistment paperwork as a teenager. She folded her hands like she was bracing for bad news, not acknowledging damage already done. "You embarrassed me," she said finally. That was it. Not "I'm sorry," not "I shouldn't have said that," just that. "You made it look like I lied. People are asking questions." I kept my voice level. "Because you did lie." Her face hardened. "I told my truth." "No," I said. "You told a version that made sense for you." She shook her head slowly like I was the one being unreasonable. "Daniel, you came back different. You know that. You were distant, cold. That night?" "That night," I said quietly, "nothing happened the way you described it." She stood up abruptly. "I watched it happen. I cried." "I know you cried. You cry when things don't go the way you expect." The silence that followed was thick and dangerous. "I sacrificed for you. I worried every day you were gone, and this is how you repay me? By making me the villain?" There it was, the center of it. Not truth, not repair. Optics. "I'm not asking you to be the villain. I'm asking you to stop making me one." She crossed her arms. "Then maybe you should have explained yourself better." I stood, adjusted my jacket, smoothed the front out of instinct. "I did. You just didn't listen." I left before she could respond. That night, the ceremony video aired on a local segment. 30 seconds, no commentary, just my name, my rank, and a clipped explanation of the award. Factual, boring, undeniable. The comments were split. Some recognized the uniform, others recognized the accusation. The next morning, my mother texted me, "Why didn't you tell me it would be on the news?" That was the moment the shift completed. I didn't feel angry, I didn't feel vindicated, I felt done. I pressed my uniform again for work like nothing had happened, checked in my soldiers, reviewed maintenance logs, corrected a private's form during PT. Life continued, because it always does in the military. You don't get pauses for emotional clarity. But something inside me had gone quiet. I stopped waiting for her calls, stopped drafting explanations in my head, stopped hoping the next conversation would be different. When people asked, I said, "It's handled." Because it was. Not resolved, not healed, handled. And sometimes, that's the most honest outcome you get.
I didn't send the link to anyone. That's important. By the time the clip reached my mother's wider circle, it wasn't because I wanted vindication.
It moved the way public records always do, without emotion, without loyalty. A neighbor shared it. A former coworker recognized the name. A friend of a friend tagged the wrong Daniel Carter and corrected themselves in the comments. The truth didn't arrive dramatically. It leaked. My mother found out when someone she hadn't spoken to in years commented under her original post. "Is this the same incident mentioned in the Army commendation? Because this says something very different." The comment stayed up for 12 minutes before she deleted it. That was long enough. I know because my phone started buzzing again, not with accusations this time, but with confusion. The tone changed. The questions softened. "Hey, can you explain something? I didn't realize there was an award involved. This video, is that what you were trying to tell us?" My mother didn't call immediately. She waited, watched, let the ground shift under her before stepping back onto it. When she did finally call, her voice was careful in a new way, less certain. "Daniel, I think people may have misunderstood me." I said nothing. "I never said you were a bad person," she continued. "I was emotional. You know how social media is." "I do," I said. "It records things." She sighed. "You could have warned me." There it was again, the same sentence, dressed differently. "I tried," I said, "before any of this." A pause, then quieter. "Why didn't you explain it like this back then?" I looked out the window of my apartment. The parking lot lights flickered on, one by one. Ordinary. Predictable. "Because," I said, "I finally understood you weren't asking to understand. You were asking to be comfortable." She didn't deny it. After that, the reach-outs became polite, not apologetic, not confrontational. Messages that asked how work was going, if I was eating enough, if I'd be home for the holidays. No acknowledgement of the lie, no retraction post, just a slow attempt to step back into the space she'd burned. I let her, but I didn't move. That was the difference. At work, nothing changed. The medal went into a drawer, the certificate into a folder. Life compressed back into routines. PT, briefings, after-action reviews. The Army doesn't care about family narratives. It cares about whether you show up ready. And I did. The clarity came on a Tuesday afternoon weeks later while I was inventorying equipment with one of my squad leaders. He was complaining about his brother borrowing money again. Same story, same cycle. "I don't know why I keep expecting him to change," he said. I didn't answer right away. "Because hope feels lighter than acceptance," I said finally. He nodded like that made sense, and we kept working. That night, I realized something simple and irreversible. I had spent years trying to earn trust from someone who needed me unreliable to protect her own story. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. My mother didn't need the truth. She needed a narrative where she stayed central, where her pain outweighed everyone else's reality. And I no longer needed to participate in that. We still speak, carefully, cordially, like distant relatives who share history but not intimacy. I don't correct her when she summarizes events vaguely. I don't offer details. I don't defend myself. Not because I'm afraid, because I'm free. Honor, I learned, isn't what other people recognize. It's what survives when no one claps. Family isn't who tells your story loudest. It's who doesn't rewrite it when it gets inconvenient. I keep my integrity the way I kept my weapon. Clean, accounted for, and never handed to someone who won't respect it.